Facebook video ads are all the rage, but how do we make sure that they translate into cash flow? A lot of people say that Facebook ads are out of control or they're dying, but in today's video, we're gonna debunk some of those myths, hear what's true, what's false, what you need to know about how to make money with Facebook video ads. First, we're going to cover two of the most important things that you need to know about Facebook video ads. Next, we'll get into the most important components of a Facebook video ad that sells. Then we'll talk about video ad metrics and how they can help you make more money. Okay, two of the most important things to remember when it comes to Facebook video ads. You aren't just putting out these random videos of you just talking about your offer. There's actually a formula that you can follow for your video. Think about any video that you watch, even if you're scrolling through Facebook, or think of the movies that captivate you on the big screen. What is it that catches your attention? And how can you take that same psychology and capture the attention of your audience who might be scrolling through Facebook and land on one of your ads? Russell Brunson talks about this concept called hook, story, offer. So that beginning of your Facebook video ad is going to hook them in. There's something that really captures their attention. Whether it's a funny joke, or maybe it's an emotional moment, or maybe it's a crazy facial expression, it's got to be something that really hooks them in. Even think about commercials that you see on TV. There's a lot that you can learn from commercials and translate that into your video ads, because your Facebook video ads are pretty much your version of a commercial, except you don't have to worry about paying the huge primetime prices for it to be on these big networks. And you get to target your exact audience, not just anybody who happens to be watching that channel. With Facebook video ads, you can target exactly the same demographic, age, location, interests of the person that you really want to reach. So you capture their attention with the hook, and then you can go into a story. And that can be a story about you. It can be a story about someone that you know. It can be just a third-party random story. Maybe you even tell a story that we all know. You reference something that's happening in the news. Maybe you reference, I don't know, a popular movie and how that can relate back to the audience that you're speaking to. The big thing with communicating through story is that that's going to continue to capture your audience's attention and their heart. You want them to be watching that video and thinking, I get this, or this person totally resonates with me, or they're speaking my language, they totally understand my pain points, or what I'm struggling with, or what I'm really looking for, what I desire, and that's going to create that know, like, trust factor. So whatever you're selling through that Facebook video ad, they're more likely to follow that call to action and purchase whatever it is that you're selling. So you've captivated their attention with the hook, you've captivated their heart with your story, and now you can capture the click with your call to action at the end of that video with a strong offer. So your offer is the call to action. Maybe it's click the link below for my XYZ, and in that you show them the strong benefit that they're gonna get by following through with that. You're gonna show them the pain that you're gonna be able to take away from them, the frustration, the sleepless nights that you're gonna remove by them taking action because you've built that know, like, trust. So hook, story, offer. The second most important thing to remember when creating your Facebook video ads is that your most important thing to overcome is your audience's objections. Before I even create any kind of ad or any piece of content for that matter, I actually write down a list of what I imagine that my audience's possible objections are going to be. What would stop them from taking action? What would make them hesitate? What kind of questions would they be asking, or that I would need to answer or overcome before they feel safe, or before they feel like they can trust what it is that I'm offering? So is it something about the product itself? Is it something about themselves that they feel like, well, am I ready for this? Or is it something that I need because XYZ? Or is it something that is outside of myself? Is it money? Is it time? Is it family? So think about those objections, the questions that they might ask, and think of how you can overcome them before that question even pops up in their mind. And maybe it's by acknowledging it in your story. Now, maybe they're looking at this and a question pops up in their mind. Will this work for me if I'm a working mom with a limited budget? And maybe your story is about you or about one of your clients who is also a working mom with a limited budget. So see how you're directly addressing a question that you might think will come up in their mind through your story, through your hook, and addressing it head on. Now, usually the next question I get is, how long can a Facebook video ad be? And the answer is It depends. If you also want to use these Facebook video ads as Instagram video ads, because Facebook owns Instagram, I recommend that these videos should be between 15 to 30 seconds. However, there are also really great quality video ads that are several minutes long. You can actually have up to 120 minutes, which is very long. And if you're going to keep people's attention, you better make sure that your hook story offer is very strong. But ideally, the most important thing to remember is it's not so much about the length, it's about how long you keep your audience captivated. Another question I get is, can I use YouTube videos for Facebook ads? My answer to that is just a simple no. YouTube videos are typically a different format. It would almost be like cutting a sitcom episode and turning that into a commercial. That's not the right format. It's not how your audience is trying to be communicated with. It won't translate into sales. I totally get the convenience of repurposing, but you have to remember that the video content that you're creating needs to make sense for the platform and make sense for how people expect to consume content on those platforms. So before I get into more on how to create Facebook video ads that sells, I want to hear from you. When you're watching Facebook video ads, what are the ones that have captivated you the most? Or have you ever watched a TV commercial that really caught your attention that maybe you can use that as inspiration for your video ads? Let me know in the comments below. We talked about hook story offer, we talked about overcoming objections, we talked about having a strong call to action, but how else can you make a great Facebook video ad? I want to share with you an acronym that I created that I think of every single time I create content, and especially for Facebook video ads. You ready for it? The acronym is ELSA. And I kind of laugh at that because when I was creating it, I realized I could have also made the acronym SAIL. But for these purposes, I think ELSA is kind of funny. It'll help you remember it because don't you think of like the Disney Snow Queen, you know, let it go. But for these purposes, do not let it go. This is one of the most important things that you can have in your back pocket, in your arsenal of tools when you're creating any piece of content, and especially your Facebook video ads. ELSA is the acronym that stands for Epiphany, Lesson, Story, Application. So before you create any piece of content, before you create any of your ads, think of what is the epiphany that I want my audience to have from this piece of content? What's that aha moment that I want to leave them with? That if they walk away with just one thing, they know this. You know, the example I gave before of maybe an objection or a question that someone would have is, well, will this work for me if I am insert, you know, whatever their demographic is. For in this case, I said a working mother with a limited budget. If that epiphany is, this is especially great for you as a working mom with a limited budget, this will make your life so much easier by purchasing this product or signing up for this service. If that's the epiphany that we want the audience to have, we create the rest of the content with that in mind. So you know your epiphany before you even start creating that content. Now the L in ELSA is for lesson. What's the lesson you want to get across to them? What's that value that you can leave them with that even if they don't sign up for your product or service or purchase what you're selling right now, they know in the back of their mind that you've given them value, something that they can implement in their day-to-day life, and they connect with you as the person that gave that to them, so it positions you as an authority. So what's the lesson that you can give them? Now, the next most important thing with that lesson is where the S in ELSA comes in, is story. How do you give that lesson through a story? The best teachers and the best marketers are the ones that spend more time on the story, because that's what makes the audience connect to you emotionally before they're able to connect to you financially. They have to trust you. They have to feel like they want to be part of this. And if they feel like your story resonates with them, that makes it so much easier and removes the barrier to purchasing. So what's the story that you can tell that's going to give them that lesson? It can be a personal story, it can be a funny story, it can be a heart-wrenching story, but we want it to connect with the viewer. And the A in ELSA is for application. What's the next step for them? What's the thing that they can take away from this? What can they execute? Or what's the strong call to action? What do you leave them with? The thing to remember when you're creating your hook story offer or you're using the ELSA framework is you want this to be about your audience, not so much about you. You may tell a personal story about yourself, but always use a language that brings it back to them and ask, how would that make you feel? Wouldn't that be amazing for you to have that implemented in your life? Wouldn't it be such an aha moment? And always asking those questions. We call those micro commitments or micro closes, when you can get them to nod their head and actually paint the picture, create that visual in their mind of what life would be like if they followed in your footsteps. I'll give you an example of a Facebook ad I saw recently that I was on the edge of my seat. And surprisingly, it was the first time I saw this ad. Most of the time, people will need to see your content or your ad a few times before it really sinks into their mind. This was the first time that I saw this ad, and the storytelling in it was so captivating. She hit on my pain points. She tugged at my heartstrings. I knew exactly what she was going through. She told her own personal story, and it was something that I had been through exactly. It's like she was in my brain. It's like she was narrating my own life, which made me so emotional about the product she was selling. I couldn't get my credit card out fast enough. Wouldn't that be an amazing experience? Wouldn't that be amazing to know that you could create that same experience for your customer, that they are so eager, that they are on the edge of their seat and can't wait to get their credit card out to pay you? That's the experience we want our audience to have. So as I mentioned in the ELSA framework, epiphany. What's that epiphany you want your audience to have? What's the emotion you want them to take away from that? What do you want them to walk away thinking about what it is that you provide? All right, before we talk about the most important metrics to keep an eye on for your Facebook ads to make sure that you are making money from those ads, I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button below. Subscribe to this channel because I am teaching more of this content every single week. Obviously, if we're running Facebook ads, it's because we want a return on that investment. So how do you actually make money using these Facebook ads? Well, when I first started out using Facebook ads, I was kind of just playing around, didn't really know exactly what I was doing. I would run video view ads, and I would run lead generation ads, and I would run sales ads, and I didn't know exactly what the strategy was or what I was supposed to be looking at to know, is this working or not? Obviously, the best case scenario is if you can put $1 in and get $2 out or more. We've had times where we put in $1 in and get $10 out, and obviously when you scale that, that's where you can make a ton of money. Imagine putting in $1,000 and getting $10,000 in sales. When you know your numbers, when you know what metrics to watch, that's when you can keep scaling. However, it is never set it and forget it, because sometimes your numbers might be looking really good. There could be a change in the algorithm. There could be things that go on in the world. For example, Cyber Monday or Christmas sales, when a lot of other retailers are putting a lot more ad spend into their online strategies, that can affect your numbers. So it's never a set it and forget it strategy. It's always looking at the right numbers. So let's talk about that. When you're in your Facebook ad account, you may see some acronyms that you might not recognize right away what they mean. CPA, CPL, ROAS, ROI. We want to know what these numbers actually mean. So your CPL is your cost per lead, what it's costing you to get that lead, for them to opt in. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that they've purchased anything yet, but it means that they might have opted in for something free. They're on your email list where they can continue to be nurtured towards a sale. Your cost per acquisition is how much you've paid to actually acquire that customer. Now they've actually paid you, they're a paying customer, and there's an exchange. You've paid to bring them into your world, and they have now purchased something of yours. We want to make sure that ideally that you've paid less than what they've paid to purchase your things, so that we can call that a profit. Speaking of profit, that's what an ROAS is, return on ad spend. So again, if I put in $1 and I get $2 out, I have a $1 return on ad spend. Now here's where things get interesting. Depending on your sales cycle, or depending on your value ladder and the continued products and services that you can promote to your audience, you might be okay with losing money on the front end to acquire that customer. I'll give you an example. I have a product for $47 that people might purchase, and then at the end of that course, I know that I can convert people at the end of that course to purchase something more expensive for $1,000. So to bring someone in at a $47 level, and knowing that I convert even 50% or 80% towards a $1,000 price point, I'm okay with breaking even on the $47 or even paying more if I know that a $47 client is going to become a $1,000 client at the end of that course. Does that make sense? So you also want to be aware of the typical customer journey. What is a lead worth to you the day that they purchase? What is a lead worth to you 30 days after, 60 days after, 90 days after, if there's a value ladder that will continue to ascend them into higher priced products? I have lots of videos on my channel about how to price your products, how to build out your value ladder, and how to create what I call this yellow brick road for your clients to be able to ascend to higher tickets. So make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you can see more of that. All in all, know your numbers. Don't be afraid to spend the money, especially if you know that you can upsell your clients further along in your value ladder, but always keep an eye on your ad account. Always be monitoring those ads. Otherwise, it can turn into a money pit. If you want to learn more about creating content that converts into cash flow and even have it set on autopilot, that's bringing you leads on autopilot that you can ascend all the way to high ticket, I have a training on just the subject. Click the link below to get access to my next training for free, and I'll see you on the next video.